And we're back. First announcement. I am moving this. Well, first of all, this is going to be a bit of a shorter one today. I have a call later, but I am moving this to 2 p.m. next week, 2 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, because turns out there's a lot of things going on at 11 this week and probably in future weeks. So I will include that in the name of the video and all that. Thanks for tuning in.
Grief. I lost that moment of purpose, fell off the horse, lost sight of my star, does not seeing it negate its existence. Ego, you will never be enough. Look at all you've done, it doesn't matter. You don't matter. Give up. Desire for justice, desire to serve, desire to rest, desire to break windows and scream, desire to escape from myself, transcend my structure, destroy my safety nets, desire to love, desire to nurture, to be touched, given compassion from an external source as if feelings come from anywhere besides my body. Discomfort, unease. If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can be still, if I can grieve the idea of enough. Maybe I can find liberation. No. Contentment.
What's crazy to me, check. Okay, cool. What's crazy to me is that this particular beat, I've been able to do this whole thing with one pattern. I mean, one part, sorry. Which is kind of cool. I think I like, as I'm building these things, I'm getting more efficient with my use of parts. Maybe. That's the current operating story. I don't really like starting with this bass, to be honest. I feel like I want it to be more open.
Grief. I lost that moment of purpose, fell off the horse, lost sight of my star, does not seeing it negate its existence. Ego, you will never be enough. Look at all you've done, it doesn't matter. You don't matter. Give up. Desire for justice, desire to serve, desire to rest, desire to break windows and scream, desire to escape from myself.
Yeah, so I'm going to
Grief.
take out the bass in that section too.
Grief. I lost that moment of purpose, fell off the horse, lost sight of my star, does not seeing it negate its existence.
Check 1, 2. Cool.
Ego, you will never be enough. Look at all you...
Actually, I want to take that bass out. Or maybe I just make it shorter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8. 8 steps. And make it an E. Or maybe not. Make it weird.
Grief. I lost that moment.
Too long. Dun, dun, dun.
Grief. I lost that moment of purpose, fell off the horse, lost sight of my star, does not seeing it negate its
Really liking the
existence.
sound of that drum.
Ego, you will never be enough. Look at all you've done, it doesn't matter. You don't matter.
Hey, Steve.
Give up.
Thanks for chilling.
Desire
Thanks,
for
everybody.
justice, desire to serve, desire to rest, desire to break windows and scream, desire to escape from myself.
I kind of want this to be... Bump, bump, bump. Bump, bump. Yeah.
Grief. I lost that moment of purpose, fell off the horse, lost sight of my star, does not seeing it negate its existence.
Yeah, so this is kind of like gives you
Ego.
more air.
You will never be enough. Look at all you've done, it doesn't matter. You don't matter. Give up. Desire for justice, desire to serve, desire to rest, desire to break windows and scream, desire to escape from myself, transcend my structure, destroy my safety nets.
So we've got this kind of open-ended.
Grief. I lost that moment of purpose, fell off the horse, lost sight of my star, does not seeing it negate its existence. Ego, you will never be enough. Look at all you've done, it doesn't matter. You don't matter. Give up. Desire for justice, desire to serve, desire to rest, desire to break windows and scream, desire to escape from myself, transcend my structure, destroy my safety nets, desire to love, desire to nurture, to be touched tenderly, given compassion from an external source as if feelings come from anywhere besides my body. Discomfort, unease. If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can be still, if I can grieve the idea of enough. Maybe I can find liberation. No. Contentment.
cool. So the one thing that I'm thinking about right now is that the meter of most of these tracks is actually quite flexible. There's not a lot going on in this. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. It's on a 2-bar loop. So I should set this to 2 bars. Because it's going to be a little, Jess likes to mess with time signatures and meter a little bit more than most people I work with, so maybe we can build that in.
Grief.
I mean, this one...
I lost that moment.
But this one's also 32 bars, so we can get away with doing that. In fact, I mean, there's no use in changing
Grief.
it. It's not going to get here, but it's the same thing.
Grief. I lost that moment of purpose.
Oh, now it's looping. Okay, so that's kind of like an interesting thing that this machine does, is if you have something set to first, this is actually an important note, especially to you, Nick, because you were asking about the first trig. If you set something to first and your meter for your master clock is shorter than the pattern, it reads that as repeating the pattern for the first time. So it'll loop the first trig if your track sequence is longer than your master sequence. So if it doesn't get to the end naturally, it'll play it again like it's the first time. So that's an instance where I do have to change my meter around. And now that I have it set to first, it doesn't really matter. So it'll trigger once.
I lost that moment of purpose, fell off the horse, lost sight of my star, does not seeing it negate its existence. Ego, you will never be enough. Look at all you've done, it doesn't matter. You don't matter. Give up. Desire for justice, desire to serve, desire to rest, desire to break windows and scream, desire to escape from myself, transcend my structure, destroy my safety nets, desire to love, desire to nurture, to be touched tenderly, be given compassion from an external source, as if feelings come from anywhere besides my body. Discomfort, unease.
Probably keep that hi-hat in the back pocket.
My old ways of thinking, if I can be still, if I can grieve the idea of enough, maybe I can find liberation. No, contentment.
Still need to build up that moment. Sounds like that old school rave. Yeah, so we're building a similar moment to the last track from previous videos. So if I was to... Yeah, so we're going to take this. I wonder if there's a more satisfying way to play this. Yeah, honestly, that's a good point, and that's something that I'm like, I think I might try here because we've got a lot of pieces here. But one thing that we might kind of be missing is some kind of like a whooshy white noise thing. If I can find peace, no contentment, she says. And then maybe we go into, I have some ocean sounds we could try. Nature. Let's go with that. Turn off the rate, time stretch. Pick a spot. I mean, they're all kind of similar. So what's going to feel the best? Yeah, so this only needs to be about 2 bars. And we need to set a scene. This will do fine. Let's set this to increase the volume. X volume I like to use because you can still use the reverb here, which I'm going to set to send so that it... And then I'm going to set the... Yeah. So, in exchange, we set the X volume of the kick low. Maybe increase the time and mix of the... We don't really need that. Yeah, so I'm currently... And then we're going to try taking the width down, increasing the Q, setting the bass to about 12 o'clock. I'm talking like I know what I'm doing. And then set a filter to bass to sweep downward. And set it to trig once. See how that sounds. Too fast. Upward. think I kind of want to turn this part, now that we're in part 2, into a more less dramatic. Still something kind of missing from this effect, I feel. Well. Oh yeah, it has to restart. Still a bit bright, or dark, sorry. We're gonna try taking a slice from here, because she does length there. Same noise ramp scene. Yeah, so I did do that actually. I have the cross volume set to max on this side and min on this side. So one thing, I think it needs to be a little bit less deep, because I think the effect is coming across, but it's also taking out some of the... So
from an external source, if I can release my from discomfort, unease, if I can grieve the...
So if I did this...
If I can release my old ways of thinking...
Yeah, so what if I just...
Grief. If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can be still. If I can breathe the idea of enough. Maybe I can find liberation. No. Continue. If I can release my old way.
Start this one a little bit. If I can release. Maybe I start earlier.
Discomfort, unease, to be given compassion from an external source as if feelings come from anywhere besides my. If I can
Yeah, maybe just a bit of a pause.
If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can be still. If I can grieve the idea of enough. Maybe I can find liberation. No. Contentment.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm into that, cause like.
If I can release.
Yeah, and then we could do the third one on release. That'd be cool. Release.
Contentment.
Oh, contentment. Oops.
If I can maybe I can find.
I'm wondering if maybe if it's like this.
If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can.
Yeah, because I would have wanted it as a pickup, like you're saying. It's all good. If I could create it as a pickup, that'd be one way. But I'm also imagining a version where I do it on contentment as well. So I'm kind of just like workshopping that.
If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can be still. If I can grieve the idea of enough. Maybe I can find liberation. No. Contentment. Grieve. I lost.
Yeah, there's one version that has contentment there, or there's a version that has
contentment.
Yeah, let's see. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining.
If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can be still. If I can grieve the idea of enough. Maybe I can find liberation. No. Grieve.
Nope, this needs to be slice 3, I think. What is it? 3.
Contentment.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a pause there that I'm not as thrilled with, so maybe I try it like over here. But I don't want it to be too much of a...
If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can be still. If I can grieve the idea of enough. Maybe I can find liberation. No. Contentment. Contentment.
I prefer the version where it's like a white noise thing going into. Yeah, so I'm gonna start that there, and then I'm gonna give it the full.
If I can release my old ways of thinking, if I can be still, if I can grieve the idea of enough, maybe I can find liberation. No, contentment.
So, logical next step would be to take this pattern, paste it into this next pattern, oh wait, am I in part 1 still? No, I'm in part 2. These are part 1, these are part 2. So I think what I want to do, paste that. And then just make this 1 bar, and make this 64 steps, which keeps me on 1 note. Congrats, Michael, on getting an octatrack. So, this is where I start to transition into my next part, which is going to be 6, I think. Actually, maybe I should separate my tracks out within banks, kind of like this, where I'm like, here's a transition section, and then here's the next track. Is that what I want? Sure. So I'm going to copy this part, paste it over here, take this pattern, paste it over here. Yeah, because basically, now I'm kind of like manipulating some of the pieces. Now that we're in part 3, I can mess up what rhythms are being referred to. And if we're in 80 BPM, so this is gonna not be there either. Yes, so this is a Fader Fox PC4. I don't like screens, especially because this one is already so complicated. So I tend to, I kind of jumped at this when I saw the video of Surgeon talking about his live setup, and he uses a PC4, which is like infinitely customizable with anything that's in here. You can save up to 24, actually, I think it's 16 pages of controls, and you can control anything from volume to any of these knobs. I think you can control MIDI as well. So that's really helpful for me. I haven't really done a ton with it. Just kind of got it focused to volume for 6 tracks, bass and width for filter, and then like release, which I'm not really that excited about. I thought I would use release a lot more than I do. I think what's more helpful is setting the mix slash send of delay. So the mix of reverb or the send of delay shares the same position. And I use those the most frequently for my tracks. So I think having this set to that is going to be really helpful for me if I'm like doing some live mixing and I want to increase the reverb while I'm turning down the volume. So right, so this so we're just kind of evolving this thing. So why isn't this playing? I already used that. I've been enjoying using the same. There is a section that my friends recorded that I'm trying to bring back. I have a self-isolation folder. I recommend everyone do the same, actually. Just like put together a set of sounds that you identify with in this period of self-isolation. I don't necessarily identify with these, but my friends did, so I'm kind of just like compiling a folder of. Check this out.
Those motherfuckers, those motherfuckers, those
it's an aggressive line. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if the tempo's right. Hold up. Yeah, so needs to be shorter. Why isn't it working? The only problem is that what I'm about to use next, it doesn't really fit with that. So unfortunately, I think I have to save that for later, because the part to score to is part of the last two, is a set from the last two. So Annabelle, Jess, and Kiana all recorded these bits of them talking about their experience, their thoughts on COVID-19. And hers is like probably more sad, is equally sad to some of the other stuff. So it's like, I think that's something I need to save for later, but it will come back.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful.
Kind of want hers to be earthy.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that
That's pretty cool. I should do that. So I'm going to take this, and then I'm going to what is this? Why is it flashing? Oh, because it's pitched down. So instead of pitching it down, I'm just going to map it, because now we're in a new part anyway.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful.
Actually, I should take out the second clap on the second time, so I'm going to make this 1 out of 2.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful.
Cool.
The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with.
Well, I'm really liking the sound of that crackle that it kind of like opens up and closes. And it doesn't actually affect the rest of the sound, so I should just do that. Filter, bass, free. Too fast. Cool. Just give it a bit more motion. So now this is set to 32 by default, and I want it to do that sweep that I was doing earlier. Actually, so we're going to bring this back up to 1 bar. Actually, make it 2 bars. So what I want is for it to sweep rate down. So rate is right here. Set it to trig. Trig. That means it's actually trig 1, which means it's only going to happen once after the first after each trig. I mean, we can test it now by having the depth act on it and see how fast that is. Oh, this is going to suck because this wave means that it's moving from an upper depth to a lower depth. So I have to do some math in order to get this right. Or I can use a trigless trig maybe? Hold on. Set loop to ping pong. Sorry, there's so many steps to this. I'm setting loop to auto, and I'm setting this to ping pong, which is already is, which means that I can hold this note because this note is not as long as... Sorry, that's confusing because this is happening at the same time. But I'm trying to get it to play one note and loop that note. Cool, that's close enough. So the next step, this rate LFO is on the third LFO, so I'm going to set this to no and see if this works. What's tricky is that rate depth is, like if I set, my rate is 32, so I need to set my depth to 64, I think, so that it'll go lower, or maybe I set it to 32. Let's see. Yeah. Just kind of wish it was less punchy. Maybe I just make it quieter. How though? Oh, oops. That's actually pretty good.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state.
Kind of want a different kick too.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has worn. I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me.
Right. So I mean, this isn't gonna work. But there are other things, many other things we can play with. This one's pretty weird.
I feel everything that I hoped I would. I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious.
Yeah, so this I want to make pretty complicated because
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am.
let's just collect some sounds here real quick. That's nice.
I feel everything that I hoped I would. I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here, I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are. I give myself the freedom to be preacher. It brings me joy to water my relationships, which makes me thankful for my own community, which remains strong. Strong and consistent in the present of world-changing time.
Maybe like a even a distortion.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but
Just some vibey shit. And then that's what, slice 2? Yeah. So be kind of interesting if we did this every 4th. Let's just try it for now.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are.
Yeah, so what I'm excited about in this case is the next part is probably going to sound so different. Nope, not that different. Copy into it.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all.
Why is that?
Grief.
What? Pattern 8
I-
was this. Oh, because I haven't changed into... Yeah, cool. So this... No. What did I do? Oh, God. How is this part 2? I thought it was part 3. No! This is the danger of using parts. Yeah, so actually, okay, so part 3 is probably closer to part 2 than part 2 is now. So I need to swap them. So part 3, copy, paste to part 4. Part 2, copy, paste to part 3. Part 4, copy, paste to part 2. Set this to part 2. Fix later. Move this to part 3. Move this to part 3. Move this to part 3. I know, and I always get confused when that happens. I'm always like, why? I thought I had changed it. I thought I had checked. And actually, we can look back at the footage and see exactly where I made the mistake. But
I feel everything that I hoped I would. And above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go. But here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time I feel everything that I hoped I would.
oh yeah, so this doesn't need to be here. Well, actually, I think this doesn't have to be here because this is like the intro.
I feel everything that I hoped I would. And above all, I'm thankful.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I've tried my best to just stay with the trouble, for lack of a better term. Of just like making mistakes and being like, well, shit. But also, this is, something new now.
If I can release my old ways of thinking,
I'm pretty sure most of it stayed actually fairly intact. I think, and we can just review the footage later, but I think what I did was I was on part 2, I copied it onto part 3, and then I forgot to switch to part 3 when I started making my changes. So part 3 ended up being more or less the old part 2. So then I just flipped them back, but yeah. It does get confusing at times, but I don't know. It's like there's so many other things that I just wouldn't be able to do if I wasn't making music this way. Like the fact that I can spend 2 hours and like make an idea is pretty awesome. So I'm just kind of like, I've adopted it, good and bad at the same time. I don't want there to be no bass in the beginning.
I feel everything that I hoped I would. And above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go. But here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way. I feel everything that I hoped I would. And above all, I'm thankful. The sky is... I feel everything that I hoped I would.
So this also needs to be brought down.
I feel everything that I hoped I would. And above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same.
Yeah, so I want that to be... This is my strategy for making things more interesting in a part, is using first and not first. So like, for example, this could be configured as a quarter of... Basically what I'm doing is I'm making the meter of this a quarter of what it normally is, which means that each step is now a quarter note, and I'm setting it to 16. So now I have 4 bars right here. But actually I need to copy this. Yeah, so now I'm on one page.
I feel everything that I hoped I would.
4,
and above all,
2,
I'm thankful.
4, 1,
The sky is the same size wherever you
4,
go,
1,
but here
2,
it has a way of
3.
reminding.
So now I've set it up so that this is only going to happen the second time that the pattern goes through. Yeah, so now that it's a 4-bar loop, it used to be a 1-bar loop, which means that on the second bar it would have started. Now in this case, it's on the 5th bar that it starts.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state. This is a place that asks nothing
Hello,
of you,
Gaming Hufflepuff on
where
Twitch.
the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming.
Yeah, so then I was thinking with the next pattern, to use the same file. And actually, I was going to copy this to 4 and go to 4. Pattern 9 is part 4 now. Cool. And it's copied from part 3. Yes. And then in this case, I was hearing, you know, like, Now we need to go into like maybe a result. I can do a B there. If I do a B, I need to find a B within this pattern. Right. So that's that. Some of this stuff gets pretty witchy. Yeah, I could probably use that. Move it up 1 pitch.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful.
Oh, weird. Did I not?
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful.
3.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am.
Yeah, that's not gonna work. Hold up. Cool. I think I want this one to also be 128 steps.
I feel everything that I hoped I would.
Yeah, and actually, we're gonna take all these out.
I feel everything that I hoped I would. And above all, I'm thankful.
Thanks for the notes. I'll definitely check that
The
out.
sky is the same size wherever you go. But here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am.
I really like that you can keep the
I can already
notes
feel the way.
in keep the live chat in the stream, because I can like look back on those and see what people said, and this is like something that I definitely want to check out over the next couple days.
In childlike state. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am over.
Yeah, this is great. Hold up. So so I'm gonna take this and move it down half step, and 1, 2, 3, push this to the right. What I'm doing here is creating kind of a B section. This is something I did for a poem called Here a few days, like a couple weeks ago, which was create like a track that launches the vocal, and then every subsequent one, like 8 now is identical to 10, except that 8 launches the vocal, and then these are kind of places where I can jump between without worrying about restarting the vocal.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement.
It's got like a Radioheady vibe, I think. Maybe I'm just tooting my own horn. Oh, so cool. Oh, shit. And I think that's what I want. Nope, it needs to do that other thing. And then we're gonna do, oops, shit. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. How do I do that? 1, 2, 3, ba, ba. Shit, I'm gonna. It's not necessary. So starting from here, I kind of want to gauge where Kiana gets to, because I don't think this is that long. So I might also want to map out the way I've mapped with Jess and other people, mapped out the part that it gets to, and then have a bit of like a pause, a breather, before we move on to the next section.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state.
Honestly, that's her natural pause.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant.
Yeah, so then if I was to map that, slice 2, and also...
I feel everything that I hoped I would. I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current...
Yeah, I'm wondering if I can like time the just how small I am with the...
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by this is a place.
Yeah, man, her words are really sweet. Kiana, great job on writing this diary entry and sharing it with me.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are. I give myself the freedom to be creature. It brings me joy to water my relationships, which makes me thankful for my own community, which remains strong. Strong and consistent in the present of world-changing times. I'm thankful for each alignment. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are. I give myself the freedom to be creature. It brings me joy to water my relationships, which makes me thankful for my own community, which remains strong. Strong and consistent in the present of world-changing times. I'm thankful for each alignment that got me home and in a window of joy and relief. I think about my last quarantine group and can't believe I'm not waking up there. It's been hard to sleep. I know I spend so much time with you all, and I'll have more, but being apart makes me wish I'd spent more when I could. You realize how much people mean to you. Not that I needed reminding. My biggest fear is that you will all realize how awful I am, or that you feel abandoned by me. Alas, I am a scorpion, a sun child, a dirt baby who sought out her desert, looking for a hidden place to process, regenerate, and wait out the storm. An instinct in action and embodiment, which is all that I ever wanted to be. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not.
Cool.
Home and safety can exist wherever we are. I give myself the freedom to be creature. It brings me joy to water my relationships, which makes me thankful for my own community, which remains strong. Strong and consistent in the present of world-changing times. I'm thankful for each alignment that got me home and in a window of joy and relief. I think about my last quarantine group and can't believe I'm not waking up there. It's been hard to sleep. I know I spend so much time with you all, and I'll have more, but being apart makes me wish I'd spent more when I could. You realize how much people mean to you. Not that I needed reminding. My biggest fear is that you will all realize how awful I am, or that you feel abandoned by me. Alas, I am a scorpion, a sun child, a dirt baby who sought out her desert, looking for a hidden place to process, regenerate, and wait out the storm. An instinct in action and embodiment, which is all that I ever wanted to be.
Cool. I don't know, maybe it's a little too romantic, but I sort of set this up so that the first trig is first. This trig goes every time other than first. So you've got the, on the one, you've got that.
This is a place that
and then the second time around, it actually turns into a pitch change. It goes ba ba ba, but then the last note there starts here, which is kind of like a nice.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my home.
We'll see. Maybe I'll get annoyed with it.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state. This is a place that asks nothing of. This is a place.
Yeah, so this needs to be shorter.
This is a place.
On length slice. That.
I feel everything that I hoped I would. I feel everything that I hoped I would. And above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state.
Oh, right. That's where she pauses. So, sorry, one more time.
I feel everything that I hoped I would. And above all, I'm thankful. The sky is the same size wherever you go, but here it has a way of reminding me just how small I am. I can already feel the way that
No, I actually, when I first heard her recording, and she was sad that because she was like, no, I can't record it because it's like not the good quality because I have to do it with my phone and like it's gonna be loud and there's gonna be cars. And we were just like, no, just do it. And so she did, and now I'm super happy because it sounds like this kind of like radio transmission thing. I feel like adding effects to it is just not gonna do what it should do.
I feel everything that I hoped I would, and above all, I'm thankful.
Like I like that it sounds like a voicemail.
The sky is the same size wherever you go.
And actually, one
more
more note, it did not sound that way when I got it. I had to put it in Ableton and like compress and EQ it, but
that our current collective separation has warmed the few I've interacted with, giving me an optimism that this time will allow us to return to a curious and childlike state. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant and time is measured in layers of settlement.
that is jarring.
I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not.
Let's set that to...
Home and safety can exist wherever we are. I give myself the
3
freedom
out of 4.
to be creature. It brings me joy to water my relationships, which makes me thankful for my own community, which remains strong. Strong and consistent in the present of world-changing times. I'm thankful for each alignment that got me home and in a window of joy and relief. I think about my last quarantine group and can't believe I'm not waking up there. It's been hard to sleep. I know I spend so much time with you all, and I'll have more. But being apart makes me wish I'd spent more when I could. This is a place that asks nothing of you. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are. I give myself the freedom to be creature. It brings me joy to water my relationships, which makes me thankful for my own community, which remains strong. Strong and consistent in the present of world-changing times. I'm thankful for each alignment that got me home and in a window of joy and relief. I think about my last quarantine group and can't believe I'm not waking up there. It's been hard to sleep. I know I spend so much time with you all, and I'll have more. But being apart makes me wish I'd spent more when I could. You realize how much people mean to you. Not that I needed reminding.
Cool. Well,
this is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't...
yeah, so I actually want that to be the next section, and then... I'm realizing because I think it's really powerful, but I don't want to fuck it up by making it too cool. In the very beginning, I need it to be like simple.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant and time is
Yeah, so instead of creating these conditional trigs where this doesn't happen, I'm just copying it into here and making this the place where it happens. So this is going to be just one note, I think.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though
Actually, I
it
don't
is
want this
not.
here.
Home and safety can exist wherever we are. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured
Yes. So take the kick out.
This is a place that asks.
Add the reverb, but then make it so that that one gets dry.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming.
Yes, so in order to have stereo drums on the OP1, you have to pan them yourself. All of the drums on the OP1 drums are in mono. You could record them to the 4-track here, and then pan the tracks on the 4-track, after which you would get stereo. In my case, I just have it plugged in via mono into this reverb pedal, so it wouldn't work either way. It would just be mono. I've chosen to just not bother with the stereo mono question of OP1. I just use it as a mono source.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't.
Yeah, so what I want to do differently about that is I want to set this to be not first.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are. I give myself the freedom to be creature. It brings me joy to water my relationships, which makes me thankful for my own community, which remains.
Sorry, I keep fucking it up.
This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not.
Then pattern change.
Home and safety can exist wherever we are. This is a place that asks nothing of you, where the past isn't so distant, and time is measured in layers of settlement. I am overwhelmed by the voices of welcome that accompany my homecoming. Trouble does feel further away, though it is not. Home and safety can exist wherever we are.
I looped that too much.
I give myself the freedom to be creature. It brings me joy to water my relationships, which makes me thankful for my own community, which remains strong.
Here's another break. There's a car sound.
Strong and consistent in the present of world-changing times. I'm thankful for each alignment that got me home and in a window of joy and relief. I think about
It
my
is an
last
Exxon
quarantine group
23.
and can't believe I'm not waking up there. It's been hard to sleep. I know I spend so much time with you all, and I'll have more, but being apart makes me wish I'd spent more when I could. You realize how much people mean to you. Not that I needed reminding. My biggest fear is that you will all realize how awful I am, or that you feel abandoned by me. Alas, I am a scorpion, a sun child, a dirt baby who sought out her desert, looking for a hidden place to process, regenerate, and wait out the storm. An instinct in action and embodiment, which is all that I ever wanted to be.
Yeah, and I think all I need to do next is create some kind of a B section, which will come next. But yeah, that's generally where we're headed next. Thanks so much for watching. I need to peace out. Nick, last question. What do you use for an audio capture device? I use this thing called an iRig Stream, which looks like this. This was $100. It takes RCA, and then it sends either to your phone, to your computer, to any USB device. I mean, well, the ones that can support it. And yeah, it's been really helpful because you can plug a mixer, for example, which is what I'm doing. I plug the record out of the mixer directly into the iRig Stream, and it goes into my computer. So my vocal is coming through there. The Octatrack is coming from there, and it really helps with DJing as well, if that's what you do. So again, thank you so much. And again, one more reminder, I'm going to move things to 2 p.m. PST next week. I want to try afternoon instead, just 2 to 4, sometimes a little shorter. So I'll keep that in the title of the video once this gets uploaded. And yeah, hope to see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.